We're learning for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, and in addition, Refuah Shleim for Yechiel Yitzchak Ben Leah is the Rosh Hashiva of Per from Yeshiva for Akwei Derech Hasen, who need Refuah Yeshuas. Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Dalid Amid Beis. Daf Dalid Amid Beis. This Mishnah is basically an inverse of the previous Mishnah. Whereas in the previous Mishnah it said Ganavu Macha B'Shabbos, they be chayiv tashlumei kefil, right? And we don't say kamle because you're not chayiv misa for what from mechira. So now we have the opposite. Ganav al pi shnayim, v'tav chumach al pi eid echad, oy al pi atzmai. So the geneva was two eidim said he was a ganav. However, when it came to the tvicha mechira, you only have one aid on the tvicha, or you have his own testimony on the tvicha. Whereas he goes ahead and he admits that that not only the Edom, we don't need him admitting anything about the Geneva because they have Edom on that. But he says that I not only did I stole, but I admit that I went ahead and after I stole it, that the Edom said I went ahead and I shechted it or I sold it. And you're having a dechad. So Mishalim Tashlumi Kefal, Mishalim Tashlumi Dala V'Hei. You don't have Edom on Dala V'Hei, right? You have his Haidah on Dalet V'Hei, which is going to segue into our sugya about being Moida B'Knas. After all, give Kefal and Dalet V'Hei are Moida B'Knas. So L'chayri is Moida B'Knas is Pata. Moida B'Knas is Pata. Eid Echad, certainly you don't have two Eid. Don't be Shnayim Eid and Yakim Davar. Moida B'Knas is Pata. So Mimela, since he's the one who Moida on the Tficha, he would only pay the Dalet V'Hei. He'd only pay the Kefal, which we have Eidim on, but he wouldn't pay the Dalet V'Hei because he's Moida. Gonna v'tavach b'Shabbos, if he steals and shechs on Shabbos, gonna v'tavach by the Zara. So in these cases, he's not going to pay Daled V'Hei, guys. Why? Because we're going to say Kam Le B'Drab Minei, right? Gonna v'Mishal Aviv v'Meisa Aviv v'Yakach Tav v'Machar, or so he steals from his father, and then his father goes to Hedwatz and shechs it and sells it. Or gonna v'Higdish v'Yakach Tav v'Machar Mishal Tishlemi Kefal v'Mishal Tishlemi Daled V'Hei. So kamle on the mechira on the tvicha of Shabbos and Avodah Zarah, and the father it's his, so he has a piece of the action. And gonna be higdish again. Once it's higdish, then it's not mishal, it's not mereyehu, and therefore what you're going to pay, not going to pay the dollar v'hei. Rav Shimon Omer kachim shachayim bechuyusan, kachim that you're required to go ahead and bring if something happens to it. Mishalim tishlumi dollar v'hei. You would pay Daled V'Hei, Shein Chayu B'Chiyusan, and ones that are not Chayu B'Chrayas, Pata, you be Pata. And the Gemara will explain this, Bez Hashem. Okay, the thrust of the day is the din of Mad of Moed B'Knas. So now, in the Mishnah it said the first case was, you stole and two Eidim said you stole. One Eid comes along and says you shechted it. Or you admit that you shechted it. You say that I shechted it. Al Piyad Echad Pshita, it's Pashit, you're not going to pay Daled V'Hei. The Chiddush of saying that the Tficha Mechir is al pi eid echad was for the following Chiddush. Al pi atzmai dumyud al pi eid echad. Al pi atzmai similar to al pi eid echad. Ma al pi eid echad ki osi eid echad mitzaref behedya. Right? Ma al pi eid echad. When the eid echad is another eid comes along, it combines with him. So you have two eidim that he stole. You have one eid that said he shechted it. At a later point comes along another aid and says he shechted it. You'd be mitzvah if the two aidim together to go ahead and say that it's combined aidis. In other words, you don't need the two aidim simultaneously testifying. Even the Rashi brings the Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf Lamed that one could testify now, and another could testify a day later. So again, in this case over here, you're going to have the Eid Echad, we want to make a parallel between Al Piatz and Al Pi Eid Echad. So just like fellas, if an Eid Echad would come afterwards, we'd be mitzvah after the two. So too, Kiyasa Eid, right? Al Piatz Menami, Kiyasa Eidim Mechayev. If Eidim would come after his Eidah, we would mechayev him. In other words, we don't say when the Eid Echad comes, that's the end. If another Eid Echad shows up afterwards, we'll combine the two. So who would in over here? He's moida that he was tavach, Moed b'knas is pata. What about moed b'knas v'achach bo edim? So we're going to say this Mishnah holds moed b'knas v'achach bo edim yichayev. Just like Al Pi Echad, another age shows up Yechayev, so too if the Eidim show up after your Haidah, you would be Chayev. That's what the Mishnah is saying. By this corollary between the two, between Eid Echad and Al Pi, that's why you mention Eid Echad at all. To teach me this halacha, that just like if another age shows up, you combine the two. Who then if Eidim show up, you would be Mechayev. Yeah.
Why should that be true? Like when it's when you're mod b'knas, it's case closed.
That's what you think. It's a machlokes. It's a machlokes. Your moed b'knas to be pata, meaning up until Eidim come. Up until Eidim come, you be pata. But once Eidim show up, there's a machlokes over here, Avi. So kiyas Eidim mechayev lafukim midrav Huna. Rav, Damar Yehuda Rav, moed b'knas v'akach bo Eidim is pata. We hold moed b'knas machlokes Rav and Shmuel. We hold like Rav, and our Mishnah is not going like that opinion. Okay, so just to reiterate, the reason why we mention Eid Echad at all is to tell you that just like an Eid Echad, another Eid Echad would start afterwards, it's not the end of the line. So too by him being Moed, it's not the end of the line. If two Eidim show up in Mechayiv, this is opposed to the Shita of Rav Huna in the name of Rav, that you'll be Pata. That Moed B'Knas, Achad Moed is Pata. Okay, Kufa. Rav Huna, Rav. Moed b'kinas, v'akach bo eidim pata. If you're moed b'kinas and afterwards eidim pata. So now we're going to go ahead and delve into this itself, right? I hope Heshi didn't go to shul, right? Anyway, Esvei Rav Chisda, the Rav Huna, Maisa Rabbi Gamliel, Shesima es ein tavi avdoi. There's a Maisa Rabbi Gamliel who blinded the eye of his Eved Tavi. Again, Rabbi Gamliel had this famous Eved named Tavi. We remember from Sukkah fame that Tavi knew the halacha about sleeping in the Sukkah, right? That an Eved's potter from a Sukkah, he slept by the table, under the table. This was the famous Tavi. And Rabbi Gamliel, you're not allowed to go ahead and free an Eved. Guys, this is the Raisa to free an Eved Kanani. It says, Lo ilamem ta'avaydu. So despite the fact that Tavi was a learned person, and once an Eved Kanani is free, he becomes a Jew. So Rabbi Gamliel really wanted to free him in order to go ahead and benefit from all the mitzvah of Oiseh, ben olam haba. I mean, there's so many things he would benefit if he'd be free. However, his hands was tied because he wasn't able to free him. Because it says, what happened? He blinded his eye. Why do we shame v'ayin? 24 Evarim goes out. So now he's super happy. So now, guys, but however, shame v'ayin is a knas. Shame v'ayin is a knas. Good. So here's the Maisa. Rabbi Gamliel went ahead. He blinded the eye of Tavi. V'yasameach simcha gedola. He's mamish happy because now he's going to free him. Matzil Rabbi Yeshua. He found Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. Amaloi. So he told him, Tavi Avdi Yatzil Cheres, or Gamliel told Rabbi Yeshua, don't you know that Tavi Mayev is going to Cheres? Why? Because I blinded him. In other words, L'cheri, he's being moida that he blinded him. So Amaloi. So Rabbi Yeshua told Rabbi Gamliel, don't be so happy. Lama, why is he going free? Amaloi, Shisamti es einoi. Amaloi, ein b'varecha klum. Shekvar ein lo eidim. You know what? Nothing. You're moida that you did it, but you don't have eidim. Moida b'kanas is pata. Mashma, if you would have eidim, you'd be chayiv. That's a kasha on Rabbi on Rav Huna. Says Gemara, ein lo eidim. That's why he doesn't go free. Hayesh lo eidim, but if you would have eidim, chayiv. V'shamina mina. So we hear from this incident. Moida b'kanas. The akach bo eidim chayiv. In other words, right now you're so happy with Gamliel that he's free. Says Rabbi Shua, he's not free. You are moed b'kanas. You're pata. Pata means you can't free him. If he had a mashmo, but he said more than that. He said you don't have eidim. Now, if moed b'kanas is pata, even eidim kam, What's the retort of Rabbi Yeshua? Why is Rabbi Yeshua mentioning anything about Edom? Who cares about Edom? Once he's Maida, he's finished. Elamah, it must be that Edom Kami Bichayev, free him. So the Kasha on Rabbi, on Rav Huna, Amalei Shanir Gamliel, the Lord if they best in Haida. Rabbi Gamliel was different. He wasn't a real Haida because he was outside of Besdin. Where do you have to be Maida Ripata? In Besdin, he was outside of Besdin. So Enochinami, he'd be Maida in Besdin, Taka could be Pata. I've Rabbi Yeshua Av Besdin Have. Rabbi Yeshua was the Av Besdin. So being Maida in front of Rabbi Yeshua, L'char is tantamount with being Haida in Besdin. Says Shleibe Besdin Have. Good, he's the Av Besdin, but they were not in Besdin. Says Rashi, top Rashi. Well, Hoya Besdin Yoishvin. Besdin was not in court. Makim Yeshiva's Besdin who he's Maida into the Shuk. Okay. I've Tanya Amaloi Emid of Recha Klum Shekvar Hoidas. Right. He told him, "There's nothing in your words. You already will Maida. It's not in Besdin. Where's the Hoida? So my love Tanoi. Okay, the Gemara is going to say the second that's Machlokas Tanoi. Okay, the bottom line is we have this dialogue going on between Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua and Chananya. It's mashma from the dialogue that Rabbi Yeshua and Chananya says that you would go free if you had Eidim and you don't have Eidim. The Gemara says no, you don't have Aidah. You don't have Aidah because it was chutz the Bezdin, right? It was chutz because it was chutz the Bezdin, so you don't have a Aidah, so he's not going free. But Tanya Omerlei Ein Berecha Klum Shekvar Haidas, that he says to him, "You already made." The Rashi says, "Mashma filu asu Eidim basa hachipata." Mashma that what even Eidim would come afterwards your pata. So we're asking on the Resha. It says we have a brisa that says that even your words are nothing. Why? Because even if Eidim come afterwards your pata. So this would be a raya to Rabbi to Rav Huna's din. The bottom line is we're questioning according to the first lashon, guys. According to the first lashon, if Eidim would come afterwards, you'd be chayiv. Then you'd be chayiv to free him. Mashenkin over here, it's mashma. The reason why he doesn't go free is because you were maida. But Tanya Amalei Ein B'Recha Klum Shekvar Haidas. My love Tanoihi. Hi Tana Dama Shekvar Ein Lecha Eidim Savar Maider Knas V'Akach Bo Eidim Chayiv. So in other words, either way, Tavi is not going free. He's not going free according to the first lashon because there was no Eidim. He's not going free according to the second lashon because there was a Haidah. In the second lashon of Eidim would come. It's mashma. We don't care about Eidim. We only care about the Haidah. In the first lashon, where mashma, it's Eidim. So l'chera, we want to suggest that Rav's din is the machloikis tanoim. One again, the first version of the dialogue between Rav Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua, and the second version of the dialogue. According to the first version of the dialogue, if Eidim, you need Eidim, be chayev. According to the second one, no. Once you made it's over with finished kabbai kaput. Ramavi, that's the dialogue over here, right? The second side is the side that you heard clearly, right? So the we want to suggest that the statement of the Amoraim, Rav Huna, the name of Rav, is in fact Machlokes Tanoim. It says Maloi. The Kuliyalma Moedu Knas Akabayim in Pata, like Rav Huna. It's not Machlokes Tanoim. What's pshat in the first lashon then? Ubahok kamifically. Hi Tanadama Shekvar Ein Lecha Eidim. The first lashon Savar Chutz LeBezdin Have. In other words, it was outside of Bezdin, and therefore you were Pata. Why? Because since you're outside the Bezdin, there was no Haidah. It was bebesdin. So it seems to be machlokes exactly where this thing occurred. If it wasn't Bezdin, right? If it was in Bezdin, then we won't care about Eidim at all. It was care if you might in Bezdin, right? The question was it in Bezdin or not? According to the lashon that you don't have Eidim, is because guys, since he was outside of Bezdin, it wasn't a Haidah. So the only way to free him would be with Eidim. According to the second lashon, it wasn't Bezdin, and the Haidah would do the job. But had the Haidah been in Bezdin, even in the first lashon, forget about Eidim. Eidim will make a difference. Why? Because Moed B'Knas V'Akach Moed Mispater. Again, what's pshat in the first pshat? Why does Rabbi Chanina told him? Rabbi Yeshua told me outside of Bezdin, and you need Eidim. Be balk you're outside of Bezdin, your Haidah doesn't mean anything. So how are you going to free him? If Eidim would come and say you did it to him, then he'd be free. According to the second lashon, he was in Bezdin, and therefore, but in first lashon also, if there was in Bezdin, the Haidah would help. So it's not a machloikas tanoim. Says Rav Huna in the name of Rav. Each one is telling me that moed b'knas v'achol bo'edim would be pater. Okay, just a aside. I heard from Rabbi Sully Bornstein. He brought down a Ben Yoyada. The Ben Ish Chai, the Ben Ish Chai was the most famous of the Iraqi Sfardim Gedolim. He wrote a sefer called Ben Yoyada on Agadata. It's a wonderful sefer. And he says the following, he says a beautiful thing. Now, when it comes to Gilgulim, we all know the Ari was big in Gilgulim. As a matter of fact, the Ari, we know the people in Eretz Yisrael, they're buried. The Ari went to each place and knew who was buried there. That's how we know. How do you know? You don't have a headstone over there. We set up the headstone. That Ari was, but the Marami Pano was Seif al Gilgulim, and he was an expert in Gilgulim. And the Indian of Gilgulim is fascinating very often. But this is definitely bloggable stuff. He says the following. He says that Tavi was a really special Eved. Now, the first Eved in the history of the world was Canaan. Canaan was punished for the deed of his father. Bayar Chum, as Ervas Aviv, that Chum saw the erva of his father. Machloikis and Sanhedrin, what he did to him, whether he did an act of snus to him, or he castrated him, he went there with children, or he publicized that Noach was lying naked in his tent. The bottom line is, Vayar Chum sinned with his eyes. Says the Mirami Pano that Tavi, the Eved of Rabbi Gamliel, was a Gilgul of Chum, and the kapara for Chum sinning with his eyes is that he went free by losing his eye. Can't make this stuff up, Fascinating. Again, fascinating. Okay, just fascinating. Okay, anyway, Itmar. Moed b'kanas v'yakach bo edim. Rav Amar Pata. We met Rav already. Rav says Yipata. Ushmul Amachayev. Shmul's of the opinion Chayev. Amar Rava. Now we had this Gemara. If it sounds familiar, we had this Gemara earlier on Daf Samach Dalet Amud Beis. Amar Rava bar Eloi. My time with the Rav. What's the reason of Rav? Now, guys, you might remember early on in the Masechta, in this Perek, earlier on in the Perek Meruba, we needed a limud for Kaifer. Where do you know that Kaifer what is on every single thing, not just what Shah V'seh, right? Not just the animals, right? That not just Shah V'seh, Hamor. Remember Salma. We learned all these things in Matzi to Matzi Biyadai, right? So we learn out from there. So now in that sugya we had the following dialogue. My time in the Rab Amar. It's the pasuk says Imi Matzi Timatzi Biyadai Be'edim. Right? Matzi be'edim, timatzi be'dayanim, prat l'mashiach atzmai. It has to be what? Through edim and dayanim, and not a person who's Mashiach himself. So Mashiach atzmai, you might be knas. So you make yourself into a Russia saying I stole. So says the Gemara Lamali, what do you have to say? Why do I need this drasha for? It says may asher yashin elikim, Yishalom shnayim. At the end of the pasuk it says. So there we says that you pay kefil. It says Mashiach. May I share Yashir? And so what's this coming to teach me? Moed b'knas is teach me Yakach bo Eidin Pata. That Moed b'knas and afterwards Eidin Kam Pata. So there's two limudim. There's a limud for when Eidin don't come. There's a limud when Eidin either way whether Eidin come or don't come Yipata. Ushmula says Yechayev if Eidin come. What does he do with Rav's drasha? For the Ganav himself that he pays kefil. Kidetani be Chizkiah. Like the Tani Bechizkiya that we learned early in the Perek, that you're going to pay what kefil on anything, not just living things. Esrei Ravu says Yipata, Lishmo says Yechayev, Ro Eidim, Shemin Mash Bashinu Boyim. He sees Eidim, they're planning to come. This guy, he was a little paranoid. He went ahead and stole an animal, and he shechted the animal, and he was worried there might have been like someone with their cell phone out there and might have gone ahead and had a little evidence, and he sees Eidim, they're about to come to Bezdin. And he's a little worried. So you know what he does? He runs to Bezdin, V'omar Ganafti. He says, I stole, but I didn't, I wasn't Taveach, or I wasn't what, I didn't sell it. So in other words, he's Moida on the kefil, he's not Moida on the Dal of the Hay. Ain't a Mishalim Ela Karen. You're only going to go pay Karen. Now, the assumption is, guys, that the Eidim are planning to come, and they did come. So 1 second. He's Moida Bikinas, he's Moida on the Kefil. What happens then is Eidim show up, right? Eidim show up, and nonetheless, he's still paying Karen. So you see, Moida Bikinas, the Akach Bo Eidim, Yipata, Kashan Shmuel. Again, the assumption is, the whole reason he was Moida, it seemed to be because he figured the Eidim are going to come to Bezdin and testify. Yeah, that's what he thought. So we assume carrying it out that the Eidim, in fact, after he was Moida, went ahead and showed up and said that he stole. Good. And nonetheless, he's not paying kefil. What's he paying? Karen. Moida b'kanas v'akabayis pata. Kasha on Shmuel. Amalei. So Shmuel said to Rav, Hachamayaskina going shechazu Eidim achareim. They never showed up. They planned to come, but they never showed up. Einochanami, had they showed up, he paid kefil. But they didn't show up, he pays Karen. Fred the Gemara of Amitani Seifa, Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon Omer, Yavo Eidim v'Yidu. Let the Eidim come and testify. In other words, that you're chayiv. When Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon says, let the Eidim come and testify, Mechlal Tanakama Saba, loy. Mechal Tanakama says that no, that even if they testify, you'll be pater. So how can Shmuel, you say that they didn't show up? Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon says, let the Eidim come and testify, mashmi chayiv. So the Tanakama argues on him, it's mashmi yapata. So Shmuel has a Tana that goes according to him, right? Well, that's Reb Shimon. He has a Tana. But Rav has the Tanakama. Says the Gemara. Mechal the Tanakama Sabaloi. Amalei Shmuel. Lav Ikar Reb Elazar Reb Shimon Dekoy Kabasei. Do I not have Reb Elazar Reb Shimon who holds like me? So I have some, in other words, you're asking me from the Tanakama. I hold like Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. That if you go ahead, you might be Knas. I know Damik Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. Now, Lishmuel, now we always speak this out, guys, right? The last thing that an Amoira wants is to be nichnas into a battle between Tanoim. The Amoira always wants to come out according to both. Sometimes we're stuck. We can, we will say that according to this, there's no way that you can make it work. But maybe according to the other one, you could make it work. This is a common narrative in the Gemara. So very, very much over here. There's no way Shmuel can come out according to the Tanakama. Because the Tanakama clearly holds Moedim Knas v'Akach Boedim is Pata because he's only paying Karen. How about Rav? Can Rav hold like Rav Elazar Reb Shimon who says Yechayev? Says the Gemara. The Shmuel Vadei Tanoihi. According to Shmuel, guys, Vadei it's Machloikas Tanoim. According to Shmuel, Vadei it's Machloikas Tanoim. There's no way Shmuel can hold like the Tanakama because Tanakama says Yipata. L'Rav Milema Tanoihi. According to Rav, is a machlokes tanoim. In other words, could Rav possibly hold like Elazar Reb Shimon? Amalach Rav, ano dami afil Elazar Reb Shimon. Ad kan like Elazar Reb Shimon hasam that might do knas ba'achav way mischayev elamishum the kamoidi machmas bi susa de Eidim. Fellas, this person had a reason to go ahead and be moida. What was the reason? He saw the Eidim coming. He was incentivized. 1 second, I'll beat him to the punch. So you know why I'm b'moed in this case, where his hoidah was motivated by the Eidim coming, that he be chayev. When did I say moed v'knas v'akat moed is pata? Is where there's no incentive, where I just come out of the blue, not because I know Eidim going to come. I just come on my own because my own well wishes. Right? The Eidim aval hacha the moed me'atzmei afil rosa b'shimon moedah. Okay, so in the chayra. Very good. So what do we have, guys? Machloikis. According to Rav, Maidu Kasa Akabayim is Pata. According to Shmuel, Maidu Kasa Akabayim is Chayiv. We have Machloikis Tanoim, whether a Ganav is made on the Kefil when he sees Eidim planning to come, right? According to Rebbe Elazar, Rebbe Shimon, let them come and be Mechayiv. According to Rav, no, even if they come, you be Pata. You be Pata. What is that? Can Rav agree with Rebbe Shimon? He goes, yeah. I could agree over here, you'd be chayiv. Why? Because when maybe his idea that is motivated by the knowledge that Eidim are about to go to Bezdin, then maybe that idea is not going to part me, right? Maybe it's only a door where it's not motivated by Eidim coming. Amru Amnuna, Mistaber Milsa de Rav. It's Mistaber the words of Rav. Ba'omer Gonafti, I stole. Ubo Eidim Shegonav Pata. Why? Sheichai Vatzle B'Keren. His hoidah was sweat off his back. It's going to cost him. If you go ahead and you made up a kanas on kefil, so you're going to be put from the kefil, you'll be chayiv keren. Good. Aval Oma, if he said loigo nafti, I didn't steal. Ubo edim shegonav, and Edim came and he said he did steal. The chazav Omar, and then he's moida that tafachti or machati, or I stole it, or I sold it. Uvo edim shetavach umachar. Then you be moida that you chayiv. That hoidah, guys, this is important to get the case down, right? It's important to get the case down. He says I didn't steal, so he wasn't moida on the geneva. Edim say you stole. He then consequently is moida on the daled v'hei. He be chayiv to pay the daled v'hei. Is moida b'kanas, right? It's not costing him anything. It's not costing him anything, right? By kefil, it's costing him the keren. Over here, the hoidah is not costing him anything, right? Shari pota atzmei miklum. He patted himself from anything. In other words, this is not costing him anything. So since it's not costing him anything, it's not a hoidah. Look at Rashi, guys. Go up a little bit. Shari pota atzmei miklum. Hoidah the tficha, by being moida on the tficha, well, hoyim mechayiv atzmei beklum. He's not being mechayiv anything. Bishlei moat when he's moida on the kefel, he's mechayiv himself keren. Over here, he's not chayiv anything. Guys, he knows the system. He went to Harvard before it became anti-Semitic, right? He knows the system. So guess what? He goes, 1 second. I was found guilty on Geneva. I know that I was Tavach Umachar. So guess what? I'm not going to be a fool and wait around for the Aiden to show up and be Mechai Midal V'hei. I'll go ahead and be Maida. Guess what? Since this Haidah is not costing you anything, does Teishnis kind Haidah, and when the Aiden do show up, you'll be Chayiv. When did Rab say his din that the Maida on the Dal V'hei, that's when there's Haidah on the Geneva? Since it's the Haidah on Geneva, it's costing me something, that's a good Haidah. But the Haidah on the Dal V'hei, which is not costing me anything, that not. Continues Rashi. Hilkach lav hoidahi. This is not a hoidah. U'mishalem, and he's going to pay the daled v'hei in bo edim. V'lo yaminu moed b'knas u'bo edim pata elahecha de'ika keren u'knas. When do I say moed b'knas akav edim? That's when your hoidah was m'chayiv you keren on the kefil, and then the knas. The chayiv leim amoyne boidasla. He's chayiv mamin with his hoidah. He's chayiv keren. U'miskaven lahachsim mamin. His kavana was what, to give it back. Okay, so says Rav Amnuna, guys, outside. Says Rav Nuna of Yuch Chiddush. Says Rav Nuna Yuch Chiddush. When does Rav say Moida B'Knas is pot Vakach Moim is pata? That's dafka with the Moida, the Haidah cost him something. So if he's Moida on the Keren, if he's Moida on the Geneva, that's costing him, which is Kefel. He would pay Kefel, but he's being Moida. Why? Because he wants to give back the Keren. But where's Haidah won't cost him anything. For example, he's made on the Daled V'hei. If the Eidim had come on the Geneva already, again, if the Eidim had come on the Geneva, now he's chayiv the Kefel. So what does this guy have to lose? 1 second. If I wait around, chances are, just like there were Eidim on the Geneva, there'll be Eidim that I shechted it or I sold it. Guess what I'll do? I'll come to Bezdin. I'll be moida that I took it, I sold it, or I shechted it, and what would the locha be? A pata. A legal loophole. Guess what? Says Rav Nuna, that's not the way the system works. When you moida and it cost me money, then, in other words, right now, no one knows anything. I stole a sheep. No one knows anything. I can take a chance. If I don't say anything, I'm not going to pay a dime. I was hungry. I shechted it, and I had some lamb chops. Okay. If I don't say anything, here I am, sitting well. I'm satiated from the lamb chops. I have this hero of tshuva. I go to Bezdin, and I say, Bezdin, you know what? I stole the sheep. Now, why am I doing that? Because I feel bad, and I want to pay back the owner of the sheep. So then I'm going to pay the Keren. That hoidah will pat me on the kefil because it's costing me money. However, if there are Eidim on the Geneva there are Eidim on the Geneva. So I know that I'm paying kefil already. Good. So what am I going to do? I'm really having charata that I shechted the sheep. So what am I going to do? Be Maida? Doesn't cost me anything to be Maida. Doesn't cost me anything. So I said, 1 second. I'm still a Russia. I stole the sheep. I shechted it. I ate it. I wasn't Maida anything. They caught me on the Geneva. I got to pay kefil. So guess what? I'll be smart. I'll go to Besdin. You know what I'll say? I had lamb chops for supper. I shechted it. What do I have to lose? You know what you have to lose, says Rav Amnuna? Gimel ubeis, depending if it's a shor or a seh. Because this does not cost me anything. And you know you might have Knesses Pata, therefore you're going to be chayiv. Beautiful on this. Beautiful, clear logic. Beautiful, clear logic, the distinction between the two. Amr Rav Nuna. Mistabe Milsa de Rav, that might have Knesses Achach Void in his Pata, boy meganafti, where he said, I stole, ubo edim shegonav, then Pata. Why? So his motivation for being Maida, was to go ahead and restore the Karen. But if he says, I didn't steal, Ubo Edim Shagonav, and Edim come along and says he did, right? So therefore what? He's chayiv the kefil. Because of Omar, he says, Tavachli Machati. I was Maida on either the Mechira or Tvicha, Ubo Edim Shaltavach Chayiv. You know why? She didn't pat himself from anything. Guys, good? Amar Rava, says Rava, Kapachti l'sabi de Beirav. I was minatseach, I was victorious over Rav Hamnuna. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says, and Daf Zayin, that Rav Hamnuna was called the Sabi de Beirav, the elder in the yeshiva of Rav. In other words, I have a cash on him, on his din that he just said now. The Rabbi Gamliel poiter atzmai miklum hu ave. Guys, Rabbi Gamliel was moida that what? He went ahead and he poked out, he blinded Tavi, correct? What does he have to gain? What does he have to gain? He's not paying anything. It's kanas. Being gave it's kanas. So you see, the Kama le Rav Chisda Rav Huna. And Rav Chisda used this as a kasha on Rav Huna to show that Moedav Knas and Eidim comes you be chayiv. And he didn't answer. What could he have said? He could have said that in this case, since you're not losing anything, since Rabbi Yeshua did not use this svara to say it's not a haidah, you see it would be a haidah. Guys. What was Rabbi Yeshua's retort? You're outside of Besdin, or there was no Eidim. You know what he could have told him? You're so excited. You moided that what? That you blinded your Eved. And therefore, you know what? You can't go free because you're being moida. This is not a haidah. A haidah that is moida is when it costs you something. You're being moida on the kefil. It cost you Karen. Over here, what's this costing you? 0. But yet, Rabbi Shua did not go ahead and say that. So when he didn't say that, what do you see? That even when the haidah doesn't cost you anything, it is a good haidah. That's the kasha that I had on Rav Amnuna. The kasha from the Maisa of Rav Gamliel. Right? It's a great kasha, guys. It's a great, right. Look at Rashi. Leishani le Rav Huna l'neimar. The Shani Rav Gamliel de poiter atzmi klum have. He didn't say that Rav Huna didn't pat himself from anything. It's not a good haidah, so therefore it's not a kasha. In other words, he could have gotten out of this quickly. I say moed knas achabim is pater, guys. Rav Chisda is Rav Huna. Rav Chisda is Rav Huna, right, guys? Rav Chisda, go back to the Yomid base. Go back the first wide line of the Yomid base. Esay Rav Chisda Rav Huna, Ma'aser Rav Gamliel. That if Eidim come, you'd be chayev, even though you might be knas. Now, he could have said right away, Rav Huna could have said, 1 second, what are you talking about? That's not a haidah. But he didn't say that. So Mamela, you see that what? It would be a good haidah. That's the Gemara's raya. Okay, back in the Gemara. Amar Rav Chia Itmanami, Amar Rav Chia Barabba, Amar Rav Yochanan, Ganafti, I stole, Ubo Eidim Shaganav Pata, he's Pata on the Kefel, Sheichayiv Atzma B'Keren. Aval Omar, but if he says, let's go with the Bach over here. Aval Omar Loy Ganafti, he says, I didn't steal. Ubo Eidim Shaganav. And Eidim come and said, you did steal. So there was no Hoida. The Chosav Omar Tavachni Mechati, but there was Hoida on the Tvicha. Ubo Eidim Shetavach Macha Chayiv. Why? So we have Rav Chia bar Abba in the name of Rabbi Yochanan agreeing with Rav Nun in the name of Rav. Rabbi Yochanan also that this Haidah, that in order to be part of you, the Haidah's got to be Mechayiv you something. Okay. A little lumdis. Rav Ashi, Masnisa ubraisa nami deka. We have a Mishnah and a Braisa that also is meduyik to this din, that if there's no Haidah on Mamin, then there's no the Haidah that you have on the Tfich Mechira is nothing. In other words, you need a Haidah that's going to cost you. And we're going to bring a raya from our Mishnah and from a Braisa. What's the nine? Our Mishnah. Granav al pi shnayim, v'tavach u'machar al pi eid echad, or al pi atzmai. So he's going to tavach al pi shnayim, or he's tavach u'machar al pi eid echad, or al pi atzmai. Mishalin tashlumei kefal, ve'ina mishalin tashlumei arba. Okay, since he had Eidim on the Geneva, but no Eidim on the Tficha, so therefore he's only going to pay kefal, he's not going to pay Daled V'hei. Now, Lamali the Tani Garnav al Pishnayim. Now, if the whole reason you're trying to tell me is that what? That Moedav Kenas, V'yakach Moedim is Pata. Guys, all you want to tell me is, let's say all you wanted to tell me is Moedav Kenas, V'yakach Moedim is Pata, why don't you tell me the following case? Listni, Gonav, V'tovach, Amachar, Al Pi'erech, Al Pi'atzmai, Ein Mishalim, El Karen. Why did the Mishnah go ahead and tell me the case is speaking where the case was speaking where what? Where it was Geneva al Pishnayim, and then it was Moed on the Tficha Mechira. So what are you telling me now, guys? Since I'm Moed on the Tficha Mechira, Moed the Beknas is Pata. Good? You could have told it to me in the Reisha too, right? You could have told me in the Reisha. Why does it say in the Reisha? I admit that I stole. Good? I admit that I stole. Now you could have said that. Listening, you only pay Karen, and then I would know what I'd be potter on Moed B'Knas potter. Elolav by telling me and only on the Tficha Mechira. Hakamash Malon. Ganav al pi shnayim v'tavach al pi eid echad al pi atzmai. Take out the word who, right? Deloy mechayiv atzmai b'keren, where he himself is not chayiv the keren. Who darmin al pi atzmai dumin al pi eid echad. Mal pi eid echad ki asi eid echad mitzarif behedya mechayiv al pi atzmai nami ki asi eid mechayiv. You know why? Because there wasn't a haidah on the Geneva. Aval ganav v'tavach amacha pi eid echad al pi atzmai the chayiv atzmai b'keren, where there was a haidah on a keren, lo yarmin al pi atzmai dumin al pi eid echad. Okay, beautiful guys, a beautiful diak from the Mishnah. Let's go through it. If the Mishnah tells me the following case: if you go ahead steal, and there's no haidah on the stealing, Eidim come and say you stole. Consequently, you go ahead and say I shechted it. What would happen if Eidim would come afterwards? Then I'd be chayev. Why? Why? Because we say, again, according to the Mishnah, we're comparing Eid Echad to what? To Haidah Atzmat Be'eid Echad. Just like Eid Echad, we said like a Shub and Korcha, not on the same day would be Mechayev. Me, if another Eid is Mitzarif. Who adin over here, if Eidim would come, I'd be Chayev. That's what the Mishnah wanted to say. Okay? That's what the Mishnah wanted to say. You could have told me, right? You could have told me another, the following case. I'm Moida I stole. I'm Moida I stole. And I'm Moida I stole. He pays Karen. And that's it. Stop. Because then, even if Eidim would come, you'd be Pata. So what do you see? The Haidah has to be what? The Haidah has to be, cost me money. The reason why I'm chayev in the latter case, in the first case, is because there was no Haidah on the Karen. Had there been a Haidah on the Karen, I'm Pata. That's why I didn't learn the case. Because we wanted to hear a case where you would go ahead and be chayiv kefil and potter on the other thing, but you only potter for a while. You only potter until Eidim don't come. Over here, if you learned the case of Gonav, you were made in the Geneva, even if Eidim would come on the Tficha Mechira, you'd be potter. Why? Because your Haidah was on Keren. That's your raya from the Mishnah. Brisa, where's the raya from the Brisa? The Tanya. Ra Eidim Shemesham Shoyim. I see Eidim, our Brisa we just said. Eidim, they're conspiring to come, and your guy wises up, Omar, and he runs, he says, Ganafti, I stole, he says, I stole, but I didn't shech, and I didn't. So there was a haidah on the Geneva, but not on the Tfich and the Mechira. Ein Meshalem Ela Keren. Now, Lomali Lemisni Vama Ganafti, Avaloi Tfachti Uloi Mecharti. Why do you have to go ahead and learn that I case is speaking where I stole, a haidah on the stealing? Why don't you learn the following? Nisni, take out the word o. Nisni Ganafti or Tfachti Mecharti. Since the whole thing is to teach me the din of Moed B'Kanas, so that would have sufficed to go ahead and add a haidah on that as well. Eloha Kamashmalon, Taima Da'ama Ganafti. The reason why he's potter on the Dal of the Hay is because he was made on the Geneva. Who the Chayav Atzma B'Keren, the potter. Aval Oimer Loi Ganafti. Let's say he was no haidah. Ubo Eidim Shagonav, the Chaz of Oimer, and then he would admit Tavachti Mecharti. Ubo Eidim Shetavach Macha Deloi Chayev. We be Chayev Deloi Chayev Atzma B'Keren. So Macha Deloi Chayev Atzma B'Keren, because he wasn't Chayev himself a Keren. Alma Haidah, the Tficha Lav Haidahi. We see the Allah Tficha, the fact that he admitted doesn't mean anything because it wasn't. So that's the diak, right? When am I going to have a patur of Tfach Mecharti that if you had a din on Keren, on the Geneva? Okay, so guys, what's the Bryce saying? The Bryce is saying, why you chayiv dal of the hay? Because I wasn't moida on the, why am I put from dal of the hay? Because I was moida on the Keren. What happens if I wasn't moida on the Keren? I'd be chayiv dal of the hay. So the that's the raya from the Brisa. Says the Gemara, you have no raya. For the Brisa, you have no raya. So says the Amiloi. He gufa kamashmlon. The chiddush is by saying the case of Geneva is that he's moida the kibin dama ganafti. Afagav the ama loy tavachti v'loy mecharti. Even though he said I didn't, and Adam come and said that you did. Shadavach l'machar pata. He be pata on dal of the hay. My timer. What's the reason, guys? Not because he was moida on the Geneva, but because since he only pays Keren, you don't have Dal of Hay. Guys, look at me. Dal of Hay works the following way. I have 2 on the Kefil, I got 3 on the Shor, and 2 on the Seh. If I'm Moida on the Geneva, I only have what? Keren. Once there's no Keren, there can't be Dal of Hay. So it's not pshat that what? Since I'm Moida over here, I'm Potter over here, because it's not a Haidah, even though I'm Moida on this. The reason it doesn't work is why? Is because you need exactly Dal of Hay, and you don't have it. You only have 3 or 4, 3 on the Seh and 4 on the Shar. You don't have 4 on the Seh and 5 in the Shar. My timer, Tashlumi Chamisha Rachman of Loy Tashlumi Abov, Loy Tashlumi Shleisha. Lemi Kitanoy. Let's say some Machlekes Tanoyim. Okay. This din that we want to say that being Moed on the Tficha Oidah, right? We want to suggest that it's a Machlekes what? A Machlekes Tanoyim. Okay, let's see a chart. But guys, here's the scenario. Number 1, 2 Eidim say tell a ganef that you stole. 2 guys come and they testify that he stole. He says, I stole, it's true. And not only did I steal, but I shechted it as well. Not in front of you. I stole and it was tabach, but not in front of you. So what you're saying is true, but you're not good Eidim. 3, then these Eidim, number 1, become Eidim Zaymimim. Good. So they wanted to be Chayiv him what? Kefil, correct? And now they're going to be Chayiv Kefil, correct? Number 1 are going to be Chayiv to the Kefil, to the Ganef. Because he says, now, number 4, the owner of the animal brings Eidim. The owner of the animal now, he brings Eidim that he, in fact, was what? He was Ganaf, he stole, Tavar Machar. So now you have Eidim on everything. Good? Now you have Eidim on everything. So now, what's the din? So regarding Kefil, The Rabbanan say, number one, pays got to the Ganif. These two Eidim are going to pay kefil to the Ganif that they want in Mechayev. And then the Ganif is going to pay to the owner because the owner has Eidim that he stole. Good? Yes? Sumchus agrees with that then. Rabbanan say that and Sumchus agrees, right? It makes sense. These guys wanting Mechayev him kefil. In fact, he is chayiv kefil, but not from them. They pay him for kasha samam. He pays the owner who brings Eidim that he stole. Good? Now, what about Daled V'Hei? So we want to suggest it's a machloikas tanoim. The Ganav is, according to the Rabbanon, the Ganav is pata. You know why he's pata? Because he says, I stole and I was tavach. So he was what? He was maida before number 4, before the Eidim showed up. Number 2, he said, I stole in tavach. So he was maida that what? On the tficha before the Eidim showed up. So therefore, you're going to be pata for Daled V'Hei. Why? Because this din of being moida that Eidim come afterwards and mechayev me is not mechayev, right? That hayda. Now, according to Sumchis, the ganif is chayev Daled V'Hei, since the result is because of Eidim, not a hayda. What motivated him to go ahead and say that he was tavach? What motivated him in number 2, guys? The fact that Eidim came in number 1. 2 Eidim showed up, and they said you stole. Good. He says, I did. Now, he wasn't Moida because he came to be Moida. He was only Moida because he was motivated because of these Eidim. So is this Haida a good Haida or not? Loit Rabbanon, it's a good Haida. Therefore, I'm going to be part from the Daled V'Hei that is Mechayev me in number 4. Whereas Sumchus would seem to say that no, that this Haida that's motivated by the Eidim is not enough to go ahead what? To pat me. And therefore, I'm going to be Chayev since this Haida was because of Eidim, not a Haida. Good? That's the suggestion of the Gemara. That Rabbi Yochanan's din is in fact the machloikas tanoim, whether the Haidah to patami is there or not. Now, Rav Acha bar Reid Rav Ika, he said all will agree that it's a Haidah and the Ganav is pata, that it's not a machloikas tanoim, and therefore we're going to set sign machloikas between Rabbanan and Sumchis in a totally different venue. Okay, so let's see it now. Again, here's the case: 2 Eidim that you stole. He says, I did steal, and I'm moida, and I was, and he adds, and I was taveach, but not in front of you. These turn out to be Eidim Zoymimim. Then the owner brings Eidim on the Geneva and the Tficha Mechira. Question is the Haidah and the Tficha Mechira potter or not? Seems to be machloikas between Rabbanan and Sumchus. Says the Gemara, Lema Kitanoi. Hayushnayim Eidim Shaganav. 2 testified that he stole. That's scenario number 1. Hayushnayim Eidim Aisosha Tavach Umacha. And 2 others say that you would tavach u'machar. I didn't put that on the chart. Huzmu Eidei Geneva. If the Eidei Geneva become Muslim, Eidei Shabbat L'Miktsasa Bat L'Kula. So you're going to be part from Daled V'Hei since you don't have a chiyuv of kefil. Huzmu Eidei Teficha. However, if you maze him, the Eidei Teficha, who mishalim tashlumei kefil, he's going to pay kefil. V'hei mishalim tashlumei shloisha, and they're going to pay the 3. He's going to pay the kefil. They're going to pay the 3 for the shar. Mishum Sumchus in the name of Sumchus, they said. Hein mishalem tashlumei kefil. The Eidim are going to pay the kefil. Who mishalem tashlumei shloisha lepar, and he's going to pay 4. So again, they reverse it. The Chacham say he's going to pay the kefil, and they pay the 3. And the Sumcha says they're going to pay the kefil, and he's going to pay the 3. Now, says the Gemara, shloisha lepar v'shnayim la'ayil. I hate koi Sumchas. What is Sumcha saying is din on? Ilema Reisha, the case of where you had Eidim on both the Geneva and the Tficha, and you had mevatel the Eidei Tficha, the Eidei Geneva. Leslie Sumchis Eidei Shabbalim Mitzvah Bat L'Kula. Since the Eidei Tficha need the Eidei Kefil, and you don't have Eidei Kefil, so obviously it's pushed that it's bottle. So it can't be going on that case. What case is going on? Well, let's say for Shapakam Rabbanon. The Rabbanon said, very good. Who mishalm tashlumei kefil, right? Because there's the hey mishalmim tashlumei shleisha, right? He's going on the sefer where they're going to the sefer. In other words, a regular case, guys. This is not on the chart, guys. The regular case where there's Eidim on the Geneva, Eidim on the Tficha. They would maze him the Eidim on the Tficha. Guys, his pays kefil, they paid. So in other words, so where did Sumcha say his din? If it's the brisa that we have in front of us, it doesn't make any sense. If it's the brisa in front of us, it doesn't make any sense. This chart, guys, is showing up right now. We didn't do the chart yet. Two cases, guys. First case, simple case. Eidim, two Eidim. Geneva, Tvicha Mechira. Mason, these Eidim, these guys are out. Why? Eidim Shabbat Miktsasa, but the Kula. Sumkas can't argue on that. Second case, Eidim on the Tvicha. Eidim Zayim on the Tvicha. He pays Kefil, they pay 3. Here you got your 5. Why would Simchas argue on that and say they pay 2 and he pays 3? So obviously it's not going on that case. What case is it going on? This case, right? It's going on the case that I introduced to you, okay? Now this is the case that's going on. Okay, Ella, so now, there's something else between them. Keep going. The Asu Beitrei and Amile Gonafta. 2 people come, this is scenario 1, and they say you stole. Amalahu, he says in. Gonafti v'tavachti macharti. I stole and I was toveach. Miu loy b'fnechem gonafti. It wasn't you. That's number 2, guys, right? Number 3. The Isi Sadeh comes along Eidim, Vazminu, right? The loy ba payu gonav. That they amazed him. They said, not in front of those pair of Eidim did he steal. That's number 3. The Isi Balabayas Sadeh, number 4, he brings Eidim, Vasidu Beit the Gonav v'tavachumacha. Good. Uboidost v'cha kamiflagi. And guys, look at the chart. This is the question over here. This, again, this haidah on this word tficha, there's the machlokes between the two. The Rabbanan Savrei, afagav the haidah the geneva, machmas edim hu the kamaida. The motivation for this tficha was machmas the edim that came in number 1. Haidah the tficha haidahi upater, and he pater and dalet behei. U'tzumcha sava no. Even though does geneva machmas edim hu the kamaida, the tficha lavaida. Right? Okay, so now, so therefore, since the haidah is not a haidah, he's going to pay dalet behei. V'hanach edim kamoid as minu mishalim kashlume keifel. U'mishalim shloisha lepar u'shnaim la'ayil. So guys, what did Simcha say, guys? Look at me. Simcha said that the edim are going to pay the 2, and he's going to pay the 3. Why the edim going to pay the 2? Because they're edim zaymimim. They want him b'chayim keifel. Why is he going to pay the 3? Because his haidah on the tficha is not what? A haidah. And since it's not a haidah, right? Since it's not a haidah, you have the chiyuv of kefil, and you have the dalet behei, the 3. That's the, okay. So now, we want to suggest that's the machlokes over here. The Ganav is pata because number 2, he was haidah before number 4 Eidim came. And the Ganav over here is chayiv since his haidah was because of Eidim and not a haidah. That's the machlokes. You want to say it's machlokes tanoim. Now Rav Acha is going to get into something else to say it's not a machlokes tanoim. Okay? Is that helpful? I think that was helpful. Okay. Continues the Gemara. Amar Rav Acha berei de Ravika loy. It's not true. The kuliyalma haidah the tficha lav haidahi. Everyone holds it's not a haidah. Even sumchas will be moida that it's not a haidah, and therefore you'll be chayiv. Ela be'eda she'atayachal azima k'mifli. Machlokes is what is whether you need edim that you can mekayim the din of azama. One of the most important things of edim is you need to be able to mekayim kash azama. Eda she'atayachal azima. Kigoin, and for example, the Asasadeh v'amulei ganafta v'amulahu ganafti v'tavachti mecharti miu loy b'fnechem ganafti elf me ploini. Okay, so now guys, the same scenario, except one thing. He doesn't just say I stole and taveach but not in front of you. He says I was going to taveach in front of Harry and Sam. He says the edim. He says the edim. Now they make these guys edim zaymimim. The azminud loy ba'payu gonav v'yasser ploni comes along Harry and Sam. Vasidu beid the gonav v'tavach u'machar. So and they testify that Itaka did, like he said. Ubahal kamiflgi. The Rabbanan Savrei Havila Edis Shiata Yachal Azima. It's Edis that you can't be Mekayim the din of Azama, because again, he admits to it. You know, he admits that these are the Edim. He said Harry and Sam are the guys. So this is Edis that you can't be Mekayim the din of Azama, because he admits to Harry and Sam being there, and therefore what? and therefore you be potter. V'chol eidus shetiach lezima loy havi eidus. Usumcha savar eidus shetiach lezima hu he ve'eidus having. It's good eidus. So since it's good eidus, they're saying on the tficha mechira, and he's chayv in the geneva, and he seems to moed on the tficha mechira. You be the eidus on that, and therefore you be chayv to pay. Fred the Gemara, but kaimelon the eidus shetiach lezima loy havi eidus. So how can sumchas arguing on that? Says Gemara, there's different types of eidus shetiach lezima. Well, you don't know the time, you don't know the day. The lekale is cloud. I will who to come All right, guys, outside. We're going to see in the Sechta Sanhedrin, there's a lach of Drisha v'chakira, where you go ahead and you go ahead and you ask the Adam a bunch of questions. The purpose of asking these questions is to ascertain exactly the following. What time did it happen? Where did it happen? On what date did it happen? Why do we want to do that? Because we want to pin them down. And we want to know because if other people come along and said, how could you have testified then? You were with us in Paris on that day, right? That's the Hezbollah of this is very, very stark, guys. The Hezbollah is based upon a Taisvis in Ksubis Chaf Aleph Amid Beis. And I found many years ago, I can't find my sefer. One my sefer are away. It's called the Sefer Imrei Bina. The Torah gives a tremendous, tremendous power to Eidos. If Eidim come along, two people, and they say this guy killed, we gave Eidim and Asra, we're going to kill the guy. Eidim can kill a person. If Eidim say it's daytime now, it's daytime. In other words, Eidim have that power. But to establish that power, there has to be some type of safeguard in place. And you know what that safeguard is? You better be sure you're telling the truth. Because if you're not, what you want to do to that guy, it's going to happen to you. What you want to do to that guy is going to happen to you. So you said Reuven killed, right? You better be sure that Reuven killed. And we're going to pin you down. When did he kill? Where did he kill? If you can't tell me those things, even though you told me you killed, you're not acceptable. You know why? Because I can't go ahead and be Makayim Kasha Zonman with you. That's Eidish Shiat Yochol Azima. Because if you don't give me the answer to my questions of the day and the time, then I can be amazing you, then you lose the power of Eidim. Masha Enkain, the Eidis that's over here, he's agreeing. He's saying Harry and Sam are the guys. So Mamela, they're coming to support. So over here, in this type of case, Sumcha says that this is Eidis that you could rely upon over here. And therefore you're going to pay the $1 for hay. Good. Mashen Kain, when do you say not? In that case where he wants to kill somebody and we have to pin him down, there he's Maida. Amamar. Let's finish up the Gemara. Amamar. We said, Hey Mishalman Tashlumi Kefil. They pay Kefil, meaning the Eidim Zayman pay Kefil. Midikamoida, the gun of Karen by Shlumi. 1 second. When he's Moid that he stole, then he should pay what? They should only pay Karen. Some Rebelazim Mishmei the Rav, Tana Tashlum the Kefil. They mashlum the Kefil. And he's going to be, Rashi says, Tashlum the Kefil, Mishalman es Kefil. He pays the Karen, they pay the other part. In other words, this is not going on the case of, this is going on the case of Eitishech Le'azima. So they're going to go ahead, Mishalman es Kefil. Since he's Moed the guys, he only has to pay Karen. Why are they paying Kefil? He's Moed. Why are you making the Eidim pay Kefil? He's Moed, right? He's Moed that he's Chayev. So it doesn't mean they pay Kefil. They mash them the Karen to Kefil, right? The who and he, since Sumkus is holding that he's not a Haida, therefore who Mishal or the Eidim after Chazima, who Mishalim Shleisha Levada Karen. He's going to pay in addition. He'll pay what? The additional 3 aside from the Karen. Okay, thank you everyone for listening. Let's say Kapitel Tehillim.